welcome to the Phoenix Rising podcast. Hello to you guys that are watching this on YouTube. This is very new to me. It makes me feel way more personally connected when you guys are watching via video, as if like it wasn't already intimate and super connected just by doing this podcast in general. But yeah, it's so interesting doing this with video too. So hello. Welcome to the Phoenix Rising podcast. I am Ashley Drummond. I am a fitness, mindset, and holistic nutrition coach to high performers. Basically, all that means is I work with people who are constantly wanting to be their best selves and reach their full potential in life. And the way that I do that is through specific mindset coaching tools, nutrition, and fitness, because a lot of times the things that are limiting us are a very collective process. Does that even make sense? The things that are limiting us tend to be a holistic process. There we go. It's not usually just some mental things going on that are blocking you, or it's not just like your nutrition is a little bit off. It's everything. And I'm a believer that what you do in one area, you will do in all areas. So I work with people one-on-one, helping them really dial in their nutrition, step up their workouts, and break through a lot of mental limitations and barriers so that you can be your best self and truly do everything that you came here to do. Because deep down, we all want to feel like we are reaching our full potential in life and being our absolute best self. So that's who I am. I created this podcast to help share with you the tools and tips that I have learned over the years with working with a lot of people, in the hopes that it'll inspire and empower you to take everything you hear on this podcast and take action and do what you need to do to create the life that you want. So welcome. I'm happy you're here. I'm always happy you're here, because if you weren't, then what would I be doing with my time right now? I would have nobody to talk to. So thank you for being here. As I've mentioned before, with this season, those that aren't watching didn't see me just do air quotes. But with this season, I have really been enjoying giving you guys a little bit of a inspirational quote or motivational quote that is applicable to the topic we are going to get into today. So, as cheesy as this is, I have a quote for you from, let's see if my screen will let me do this. Yes, it will. Okay. I have a quote for you from Cinderella. So I didn't know this was from Cinderella. I found the quote first and I was like, boom, yes, that is what I want to talk about today. And then when I looked up the author, it said Cinderella. I was like, of course it's Cinderella. So here's your quote for today. Perhaps the greatest risk that any of us will ever take is to truly be seen as all that we really are. Cinderella. I love this quote with today's topic, where we are going to get into letting go so that you can let in the life that is waiting for you, because so much of letting go and letting in requires you to take risks, to be totally seen, and to be vulnerable. So we're going to talk about that today. Now, before we get into today's topic, I always like to answer the questions that you guys send me. First of all, thank you so much to everybody that listened to the first episode and the updates with selling the business. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you for the congratulations. I really appreciate that. That means a lot. So thank you to everybody who sent me a message about that. Okay, so some questions that we got, and some of these might be a little bit repetitive from other episodes, but that's all right. Okay. Hey, Ashley. So I've had a personal trainer and I've worked out before, but I've never heard any of them talk about mindset before. So my question is it really that important? And if so, then why don't other trainers and coaches talk about it? Okay. So number one, yes, I would say that your mindset is more important than the other factors, because your mindset is what is going to create the thoughts, the beliefs, and the actions and habits that dictate the other areas of your life. So yes, it is really that important. The second part of that, of why don't other trainers and coaches talk about it? Well, there's a few things. Number one, to be totally honest, a lot of other trainers and coaches aren't, just because they are a trainer and a coach does not necessarily mean that they also are trained in mindset coaching, or that they do their own mindset coaching. Like, just because you're in the fitness space or you're in the coaching space doesn't mean that you're also equipped with the skills to give specific advice around meditation and mindset and reprogramming your subconscious mind. So that could be one thing. The other thing too, also being totally honest, a lot of times clients just do not care about mindset. Like, and this is a society thing as a whole. A lot of times they just want like, hey, tell me what to eat, tell me how to work out, and that's it. They do not want to change the way their entire lifestyle is. So I think while some trainers may be very versed in mindset stuff, they probably just are tired of clients not listening. So they just stick with the basics of fitness and nutrition. That's probably what's going on. But just to kind of wrap up the answer to all of that, like, yes, mindset is very important. If you are only doing workouts and eating what somebody else told you to eat, but you're not actually aligning your thoughts with who it is that you want to become with your efforts in fitness and nutrition, then more than likely what's going to happen is you're going to fall off track and you're going to fall back into old habits and patterns because you haven't actually shifted your thinking. All you've done is worked on what's going on the surface. So hopefully that helps answer the question. Okay. The other question I got about macros and appetite and being hungry is, hey, I listened to your episode about what the macros should be for me. And my question is, what if I'm not hungry, but I still have not hit my macros for the day? Should I still eat anyway? This is a great question. The short answer is always listen to your body. Like, your body is going to let you know if it needs more or less food. That would be the short answer. And that's not really going to suffice because a lot of people don't know what their bodies are saying because they haven't spent the time with them. It really depends. And this is the answer that I said in the Instagram message. It really depends because there's a lot of factors that play into appetite and macros. So sometimes the lack of appetite can be because you have been under eating for a while. So your metabolism has slowed down to match the daily energy that you have given it. So it might take a while for your metabolism to speed back up to have the appetite of the right macros. Could be that. Other thing could be too is really just like, believe it or not, like sometimes magnesium deficiencies control appetite. So if you find that you don't have much of an appetite, but you're also holding water or retaining water and bloated, and you find yourself low on energy, like you have a lot of, just low energy, could be magnesium deficiency. That could have a huge thing to do with that. Hormones are a huge factor in appetite as well. It also has to do with like your own blood sugar, like what it looks like. And this is why I always resort back to labs because seeing where your fasting insulin is and glucose can tell me a lot about your blood sugar stabilization for your appetite. So if you're not hungry and you're just a little bit off on your macros, let's say you need like 180 grams of protein and you had 150, it's not that huge of a deal. Like your body will let you know when it needs more food. However, if your daily needs are like 180 grams of protein and you're at like 80 grams, then you need to eat. You need to eat more because that is way under eating. But bottom line, everything in life, trust your own intuition, trust your body to let you know what it needs and eat accordingly. So that's that. Okay, so the other question we got is, hey, I listen to your podcast and I really love it. Because of it, I am making my first vision board for this new year. So I have a question about vision boards. Yay, you're making your first vision board. Congratulations. I'm so excited for you. Okay, so the question is, once I have my vision board finished, is there a certain practice I should be doing with it every day? Or can you share with me what to do with my vision board once it's done? I'm so glad you were asking this question. Yes. So vision boards are great. Vision boards are great for getting a clear picture of what it is you want to create in your life, what you want your life to look like. It is meant to inspire you. So when you're making it, all of these images and pictures, the intention and purpose behind it is to spark inspiration and the emotions behind it to get you excited and forward thinking about the life that you are creating. Now, here's the important part. A lot of people do that and then they just stop there. They stare at their vision board every single day, super excited, but they're not actually doing anything about it. So what you can do every day is come up with little baby steps that move you in the direction of these visions that you're creating. So you can put your vision board somewhere you look every day, in your bedroom. You can have it in the bathroom, in the kitchen. You can a lot of people now, they just put it on their phone because they open their phone 100 times a day. Something that's a constant reminder of where your life is headed. But for the daily practice, come up with just 1 to 3 things you can do each day that is in alignment and intentional action that moves you in the direction of that vision. That's the practice you would want to do every day, is other than just like meditating on it, letting yourself feel excited about the direction that you're headed. Use it as just a daily constant reminder to reinforce that vision. And like the interesting thing about our subconscious minds is it's very visual. So that's why billboard advertising is such a huge thing. That's why social media is such a huge thing. Because when we see images repeatedly over and over, anytime something is repeated, it starts to become more and more ingrained in our subconscious. So the idea behind having a vision board that you look at every single day is it is just further implanting those visions and ideas and direction into your subconscious so that in your conscious, which is your waking, when you're awake every day, so that your conscious is constantly thinking and piecing together the parts to help move you in that direction. So that's something you can do every day. I'm really excited that you're making your first vision board. And that the podcast inspired you to do that. That's awesome. But yeah, so don't just look at it every day. That's step 1. Step 2, take action every day in the direction of that vision. Okay, last question, and then we're going to get into today's topic. Can you please explain more to me about what exactly a mind coach is or does? That's a great question. Like what? I don't know that I would know what a mindset coach is if I didn't really do that. The best way I can describe a mindset coach is it's kind of like a therapist and a life coach and a motivational coach combined into one. So it's somebody that you work with personally, one-on-one, with the areas of your life that you feel stuck, or areas of your life where you feel like you're blocked or you're limiting yourself or you're not really moving forward. And then you come up with specific action plans to help you move past that. So let's say, just hypothetically, let's say you feel like you're underplaying yourself in your job, like you're just not reaching your full potential. You feel like you were meant for so much more, but you don't know how to tap into that, or you're not really sure what the block is around that. You can work with a mindset coach. You can work with me. And part of the process is it's less about what you think it is on the front end and more about uncovering what's going on subconsciously with your fears, your limitations, your experiences in life that have created stories and beliefs to keep you from reaching your full potential. And we work together to break those down and reprogram them so that you're showing up not just on the surface of what you're working on to get a new job or create something new, but also so that inside you feel like you are being the person that you want to be. And like a perfect example of this is like the people in the gym who look great on the outside, but on the inside, they're super insecure. It's because they've done all the work on the exterior, but they haven't actually shifted or changed their mindset around who they think they are, feel that they are. So there's a disconnect in themselves. So they can feel, they can have 6-pack abs and be the fittest person in the room, yet feel like they're unattractive, overweight, and all these things because their mindset hasn't actually shifted. So mindset coaching is very personal. It is one-on-one, and it's a little bit like therapy and life coaching, but the biggest difference being that you have specific actions and tools that you implement and take into your day to go and actually make the change in your life. That's probably the biggest thing, is like a lot of times therapy is more just talking. You're just talking about the problems, where mindset coaching is we identify the real source of the problem, which is usually in your beliefs and mindset patterns. And then we come up with a plan and action steps to help you move past that so that you can be everything that you want to be in life and make the changes that you need to make. So hopefully that makes sense. If you would like more information on that, then I'd suggest you schedule a call, which the link to that is in the show notes below. All right. So today's topic, let's get into this. Letting go to let in the life that is waiting for you. The universe is so funny because I was not intending to talk about this today. I have an entire Google Doc, Google Doc open right now that has all the notes because I was planning on talking about fasted cardio, intermittent fasting, and calorie deficits because a lot of people have been asked for more explanation and understanding on that to figure out the best way to boost fat loss. And I have the notes on that. That will be a podcast episode. But then I woke up this morning and the universe was like, no, we're not going to talk about that today. Today, this is what we're going to talk about. This is what I want you to say. So I am just going with that flow and trusting that if this is what popped up today, then this is what you guys need to hear. So here we are. Part of the reason this came up is we had a wonderful full moon that happened on the 6th. Yeah, on January 6th, Friday. So if sometime around Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you felt super off, it felt like the week was a little bit crazy, maybe you felt super sensitive and emotional, you can thank the full moon for that. That is what the full moon does. I mean, it's always so funny because when we start to get on the cusp of a full moon, I don't even know it's a full moon, but all of a sudden I start like deep cleaning everything. I'm like deep cleaning my apartment. I'm washing the sheets. I'm giving Bear a bath. I'm throwing out old clothes. I'm burning sage and Palo Santo. I'm setting my stones outside to clear those. Like all this is going on. And then I'll have a moment where I'm like, it's got to be a full moon. I can feel it. And sure enough, that's what happened. So we did have that full moon. So if you were feeling a bit emotional or on edge or just working through some serious stuff around the 6th or the week of the 6th, it is okay. It's not your fault. It happens. The great thing about the full moon, though, is it brings everything to the surface that we have been ignoring or distracting ourselves from to not deal with, to the point that you no longer can ignore it anymore. It's kind of like in your normal day-to-day or normal week, you can just go through the motions and let all like, oh yeah, I know that's there, but I don't feel like dealing with that right now. Like, no, I know like this needs to be taken care of, but like I'm busy. I got work. I got friends. I got whatever. The full moon kind of says like, yeah, that's nice, but here it is, and brings it all to the surface, kind of like a pimple that needs to be popped, and just like, we are dealing with this today. So that's the good thing about the full moon, but that's also the hard part about the full moon, because it involves a lot of letting go. Usually, most people don't know that. And first time somebody told me that full moons are great for letting go, I took it very literally. I thought it meant like, okay, what do I need to let go of? Like, do I have an old pair of shoes to get rid of? Do I like have some clothes I need to let go and take to Goodwill? Is it something in my business? Is it a friend? Is it a relationship? Like, what do I need to let go of? I took it very literal. And sometimes that is it. Sometimes it is a literal letting go. But a lot of times too, it can be letting go of an idea, letting go of a way of thinking, letting go of beliefs or stories or habits or patterns and things that no longer serve you. So that's why we're getting into this, because letting go, I'm going to be bouncing all over. I got notes like crazy for you guys. So we'll see how much we cover of this. But it's interesting about letting go and letting in, because it's usually what we are most afraid of that is actually what we most deeply desire. I'm trying to like make sure I'm wording this right. It is the old saying that like everything that you want is on the other side of fear. That's the truth. And I've always felt like strong emotions like fear and like pain are actually very indicative of how involved and meaningful and the amount of value that was placed on whatever that experience is. So it's kind of like when a loved one passes or you have to let go of a loved one, the amount of pain that you feel in losing that person is also a tribute to the amount of love that you shared or felt with that person. And the same is true with fear. The amount of fear you feel around doing something or taking a risk or going after something is actually a very beautiful thing on the flip side, because it shows how much you actually care about this or how much you actually want this, because the fear would only be there if you're scared of losing it. So we always put an emphasis on like the pain behind letting go or the fear behind letting go, when there's also a really beautiful side to it, because it's the yin and the yang of our emotions. Like you can't feel pain without also feeling love. You can't feel fear without also going after what you really want. So honestly, like the main point behind this is like, if you are in a place where you're not feeling either fear or pain, then you probably are in a really safe place in your life. And I hate to say that, but I mean, it's really true. If you ask yourself, like, when's the last time you felt super vulnerable and afraid? When's the last time you felt like deep pain? More than likely, that's also going to be connected to a time that you were really living and experiencing all of life. I feel like when we're growing up and like going through like the natural processes of adolescence to adulthood and all those things, we have like this subconscious understanding that letting go and letting in is a natural process. We understand we have to let go of middle school to get to high school. We understand that we have to let go of one recreational activity in order to be able to do another recreational activity. We understand when we got to let go of some friends in order to make new friends. We get that when we get out of high school, we let go of that experience in order to go to college or to get our first job. And then we get our first job and we let go of our very first job in order to grow and evolve into the next one that's waiting for us. Like there's a very natural ebb and flow of let go of this to now move on to this and let go of this to now move on to this. It's like this nice little dance that we do. But somewhere around adulthood, when we start to experience bigger emotions because we are now more greatly involved in our experiences in life, we forget that letting go and letting in is a very natural process of growth and our own evolution in life of becoming who we came here to be. And we stop it. We stop it and we hold on to things a lot longer than we need to, because somewhere in all of those experiences, we felt deep pain for the first time, or we felt deep shame or deep embarrassment or deep loss or whatever that like deep, strong emotion is. We felt it for the first time. And all of a sudden letting go became unsafe. Letting go became super scary. And now we have to like micromanage and do all these things. But also along with that, somewhere in adulthood, we go through the experience. If you see me scooting, it's because I'm in this rolly chair for this video and it keeps sliding backwards away from the computer. So sorry, you guys that are listening don't see that. If you're watching this on YouTube, then that's what you see me doing, scooting around. Anyways, but so somewhere around adulthood, we forget that process and end up getting caught up in society's expectations of what our life should look like and where we should be, what we shouldn't be. And everybody, it's almost like everybody ends up playing it safe. Everybody stops letting go. Everybody stops. Everybody stops letting go when they should be letting go. And now society as a whole has been doing the same things for their entire lives, that it ends up creating the idea that if you aren't doing the same thing, the same job, the same relationship, the same friends for the next 30, 40, 50 years of your life, you are not doing, quote unquote, what you should be doing, or you're on the wrong path. So we hold on out of fear. We hold on to things that are no longer serving us or that we've outgrown, because our life no longer looks the way society thinks it should, or perhaps maybe that even we thought it should. Well, I thought by 25, this is what my life would look like. I thought by 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, so on and so forth. And like, never thought I would be here. Didn't see this happening. Right. That's part of life. Like that's how it's supposed to be, is letting things come and go. Has a really great author. Her name is Tosha Silver, and she has a book called Divine Openness. And she has a quote in one of them, or not a quote, it's probably more a mantra. that just says, let what wants to come in, and let what wants to leave. And it's having the open hand policy. And I've talked to friends about this before of just, if you have your hand open, so like treating your life with your open hand policy. And I've probably told you guys about this too. A butterfly comes and like lands on your hand. If it wants to stay, you let it stay. And if it wants to leave, you let it leave. What you don't do though is try and hold on to the butterfly because it crushes it kills it. So we just keep our hands open and we just allow it to stay as long as it wants to stay. And then when it's ready to go, it can go. This is the natural ebb and flow of life. But letting go is extremely scary. There's so many reasons it's extremely scary, because letting go means that you are free falling in complete faith and trust in the universe that everything is going to work out. It's letting go of control. It's letting go of everything that you know, but it's also letting go of the ability to predict what will come of you letting go. So to give like a personal example of this, because like you guys know, I have no problem just using my own personal struggles in life to help you as I figured it out. So one of the things for me with this full moon that happened is this is something I constantly am working on and through. I always like asking people like, what are we working through? Because it's one thing to just like sit and stew and be in the same problem all the time, but like, no, like, what are we working through? So that's why I said I am working on and through this consistently. Is one of the things, going back to like everything you desire is on the other side of fear. And I don't think this is like personal to just me in this desire. I think everybody deeply wants this, but like, so one of the things I desire and I intentionally put effort towards in relationships and in life is creating real, authentic, intimate, vulnerable connections with people. I want the people in my life that I care about to know how deeply important it is for me that they feel safe, that they feel seen, that they feel comfortable being vulnerable, knowing that I will meet them in that vulnerability. So this is something that is very important to me. But on the flip side, it is one of my greatest desires to have that in return. But it is also one of my greatest challenges in allowing that to happen. So you probably have something like this in your life as well, or maybe like now you do, now that I'm saying something like this. And the question comes up of like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why? Why would it be a challenge for you to allow the thing that you desire to come in? And this goes to you. Why would it be a challenge for you to let go and let in the thing that you actually desire? Well, going back to what I was saying earlier, it's because the thing we desire is also the thing that we fear and involves vulnerability. Some of it too is habits and patterns. So using this story, for me, it is subconsciously in my mind, it is safer for me to deal with emotions alone. I'm literally like, I am working through this right now because, and this is like, a lot of this is just like childhood stuff, it not being safe for me to have emotions, it not being safe for me to be vulnerable, but also because through most of my life, I have been left alone in very big emotional experiences to handle those alone. So I have this very, very deep subconscious belief that it is safe for me to be in an emotional place as long as I am alone. But to allow somebody else to come into that is very terrifying for me because of previous experiences, even though that is what I deeply desire. So like the way this process, and I'm like explaining all this to you guys so that you can kind of analyze and assess your own habits and patterns in your life to understand how this plays out. So here's exactly how this plays out. So with this full moon brings up a lot of emotions for everybody. So it's bringing up all these emotions for me. So for a couple days, I was in a very, I wouldn't call it deep. I was in a bit of an emotional struggle. I was working through a lot of things. I was feeling like sensitive. I was feeling overwhelmed. I was ridden with anxiety about a lot of things. And I was just very much in this place. The way this plays out is so trying to figure out how to explain this. The way this plays out. So if I have this deep rooted belief, it is safe for me to have emotions and be scared and anxious and all these things as long as I'm alone, but to also have the opposite desire of like, I desire to have deep, intimate, vulnerable connections with other people. The where the block happens is I will put forth effort to reach out to people that I care about to make sure, hey, how are you? Are you doing okay? I'm here if you need anything. All those things. Like I will do that to make sure they know it's safe for you to be vulnerable with me, to be open with me, I want to be there for you, to help you, to let you be seen. But then on the flip side, I will withdraw and I will isolate myself and I won't talk to anybody for a couple days because in my mind, I don't know how to allow it in to my life. And this is, I am learning how to allow it into my life. But so because it requires me to let go of control, let go of the vulnerability and the fear, and to allow that to come in. Now, for you in your life and whatever this thing might be that you have like this block and this fear of letting go in order to allow in what it is that you actually want, part of this process is acknowledging it and knowing yourself. So knowing, like I am very aware of this. And when I do it, I am very aware that I am doing it. And it takes practice of trying to let go and allow, because what will happen when you're like, all right, you know what? I'm going to let go of this habit. I'm going to let go of this story, this belief. I'm going to let go of whatever this is. There's a very strong possibility that the experience that happens from that may further validate the fear that you already had. So in this situation, let's say, so here's what I did. Like, I'm not even going to pretend to y'all like I got it all figured out. I'm working on my own stuff as I'm sitting here doing this podcast. So here's what I did. I did not reach out. Instead, I withdrew from everybody for about like 2 days because I was like, I can't do it right now. I'm sorry, full load. It's not going to happen today. I'm very aware of this, but like, it's not going to happen. So I didn't. And then when it was over and like the emotions subsided and I had worked through it alone, I'm like, okay, now everybody can come back into my life. And it's like this constant thing of trying to figure it out because I could have reached out. And the fear of that I wasn't ready to let go of was if I reached out and I was like, hey, I'm super emotional. I'm kind of a bit of a mess today. Like, can you just come hang out with me? Can you just be with me in these emotions? Like, can you just sit with me while I'm a mess? There's a risk that somebody could have said no. There is a risk that somebody could have, I don't know, come up with made me feel crazy, made me feel like there was something wrong with me because I was super emotional, made me feel more alone in some way by not showing up for me. So there's all these fears. And obviously, like when we do these things, they're not conscious. We're not like consciously sitting there blocking things. It's through self-reflection and self-awareness that you figure these things out. So that is the fear that I was not ready to let go of in order to create the allowing and receiving of what it is that I actually wanted. So that is what I'm working through right now. But going back to all of this it leads me to the first point about letting go and how letting go is scary for everybody. Here's what you have to understand is like we get so caught up in our heads and our minds thinking like we're the only person that is afraid. You're the only person that feels anxiety and fear. We're the only ones that wake up some days like terrified, not knowing what we're doing. Like, no, every single person feels this way. Everybody feels afraid. Everybody has anxiety. Everybody is clueless and doesn't know what they're doing. Some of us just weigh in a little bit better than the others. So in your own process of letting go and allowing things in, understand that you are not alone in that. Like I'm sitting here telling you like my stuff too that I'm trying to figure out how to let go of. But letting go is going to be scary. It is. Like, once you accept that and you stop thinking that there is some magical, peaceful process of growth that doesn't terrify you, you're going to be way more inclined to take action knowing what to expect. It's kind of like when clients have come into workouts with me, it's their first time lifting, maybe it's their first time Olympic lifting, maybe it's their first time doing conditioning. And they're like, I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of scared. I'm a little intimidated. And I'm like, good. Like, that's normal. I would be scared too. You've never done this. Of course, you're going to be scared, but accept that. And then we're going to go through this anyways. Like, if you show up to life thinking you're like, life, I want to reach my full potential. I want abundance and love and the life of my dreams and all of these wonderful things. And you think that it is just going to be like, okay, we'll just float that on in. You don't have to do anything. Then you are extremely naive into understanding how life works. So embrace that, accept that, know that you are going to feel super vulnerable and terrified in the process of letting go. Vulnerability is not knowing if it's safe, not knowing if you let go, if you're not going to free fall and totally like break your back or leg or whatever. The vulnerability that you could choose to let go of, though, is also what would open you up to the possibility of everything that you want on the other side. That's the important thing. I've always felt very strongly like the people who are most willing to be vulnerable are also some of the people who are the strongest, because vulnerability requires so much strength. Vulnerability requires you to be brave enough and strong enough to open yourself up to the opportunity, to the job, to the person, to whatever it is that you truly want, to feel fear, but still step up to it and go for it with the intention of knowing that in being vulnerable, that is the only way you are going to get what you want out of life. So in order to be vulnerable, you have to have such a deep amount of strength and courage to even get there. And there's always, like, I think that that's actually one of the biggest misunderstandings about vulnerability. Like, so many people think vulnerability is a weakness. You know how strong you have to be vulnerable? Strong in yourself, but also to have such like a deep rooted trust in life that in you being vulnerable, you are actually like stepping up saying, listen, I know that whatever could possibly come of me letting go could be pretty brutal, but I also have a deep amount of trust and strength in myself, knowing that I can handle it. Whatever it is, I can do it. Like, I can get past it. If it's fear, I can move through it. If I totally fall on my face, I will get back up. If my leg totally falls apart, I can put it back together again. So vulnerability is a true testament of somebody's character. If you can't be vulnerable, like, to me, like, people who can't be vulnerable, it's just insecurity. So the beautiful thing is, if you are willing to be vulnerable and you are willing to let go, it also opens you up to having everything that you want in life. But here's the next part we're going to get into. Everything that you want also deeply wants you. So the process of letting go with that idea in mind, if you're like, all right, if what I want also wants me, then letting go isn't quite as scary, because I am letting in what I want, but what also wants me. Here's the thing though. Sometimes you are blocking the exact thing that you want. How? How can you be blocking that? If what you want wants you and all you got to do is let go and let it in, how would you possibly be blocking it? Well, obviously, number one, you would block it by not letting go. If you don't let go, like, think of this like in such like literal terms. If you want a new car to replace your old one, you have to let go of the old one to replace the new one. That is the way it works. Like, in literal terms, this makes so much sense. If you want a new mattress, you have to let go of your old mattress. If you want a nicer house, you have to let go of your old house. Like, sometimes you're simply blocking everything that you want in life by refusing not to let go. But more so than that, like some of the other ways that we block the things that we want is we are so attached. So this is, I know I'm kind of like going on to a lot of different stuff, but this is letting go in a different sense. So let's say it's a job. Let's say it's the job you have now. And this is what I see happen a lot with clients. They're like, okay, I know the exact job that I want. I know exactly what I'm doing. I know how much money I want to make. I know what my day-to-day task looks like, all of these things. I know what it looks like. And there's an opening right now for it in my company. So I am willing to let go of this role and this job that I'm playing right now for that job. You're like, yeah, I don't see the problem. Here's the problem. Let's say that maybe everything that you want and say that you want is not necessarily in that specific job within your company. You then are going to create the belief that the universe hates you, that you can't have what you want, that you're not good enough for what you want when you keep applying for that job within that company, you keep getting rejected. You're gonna be like, Ashley, and I'm saying this because this has happened. Ashley, I don't understand. I'm clear on what I want. I'm clear on how much money I want to make. I know what I want to do. I know the direction that I want to head. Why do I keep getting rejected by this job? What am I doing wrong? You're not doing anything wrong. The only thing is you need to let go of the attachment that the perfect job that matches everything that you said that you want is going to come from that specific job. So part of the way that we block the things that want to come in and that we truly want are we are too attached to the who, the what, and the how. Who that person is going to be, how it's going to show up, what this looks like. And instead, all you need to do is hold on to the idea of what it is that you want. If it's a job, if it's a relationship, it's a deep emotional connection, whatever it is, and then let go of your attachment to how it is supposed to show up or when it is supposed to show up. I also see this in people with their relationships. And like, let's just talk about this. Like, this is tough. This is tough. There's no way around this. Like, I have had plenty of people who, when we start coaching, they are married. And, we're working on mindset stuff, like getting clear on what they want in every area of their life. What do you want your fitness to look like? What do you want your career to look like? What do you want your relationships to look like? And we get to the relationship part and they're clear on like, well, I want this deep, intimate connection with my partner. I want us to spend time doing this. I want somebody who does this, and this is their character and their personality. And I'm like, that's great. That's awesome that you know exactly what you want. Then they sit back, they do their meditations. They're like, universe, I trust you to bring me this relationship or this kind of dynamic that I want. And then we go through coaching sessions and they're getting more and more angry that their meditations and visualizations are not working because their partner has not changed. And what I have to remind them is, I know this is scary to understand, and I know it is scary to hear, but you have to open yourself up to the possibility and understanding that what you want also wants you. What you want also exists. However, it may not exist in the current relationship you are in, or expanding that. It may not exist in the current job that you're in. It may not exist in the current house that you're in, or whatever it is. And this is why people are so scared to let go, because it is terrifying to think that you have invested years in a job, in a relationship, in a friendship, in a home, in whatever it might be. And that specific thing or person may not be in alignment with what it is that you say that you want. And it's a process. Like, you can sit and wait. And I actually kind of encourage that, because like, you never know. If you keep meditating and you keep focusing on the kind of job that you want, it's possible that all of a sudden, like, your work needs that exact role filled. It's possible that all of a sudden your partner or your spouse ends up becoming that person. It is totally possible. But keeping an open mind, you have to also look at the other possibility that it might not be that. And this is where faith and trust and true vulnerability all comes into play, because by embracing that possibility, you have to let go of a lot of the security that you have had in life. And it's scary. Like, I mean, I've done it. I've worked with a lot of clients who have done it. And the process of letting go is not easy for anybody, because we are opening ourselves up to not just letting go of what we have, but on complete blind faith that what we really want does exist and that it will come in. And this goes back to just embracing the fact that, like, you're going to be full of anxiety. You're going to be scared. It's going to be terrifying, because you're removing your control or your need to know what the outcome is going to be. So this is just reiterating everything, that change and growth is one of the hardest things you can go through when you're in it. But once you're through it, you look back and you're like, God, I'm so glad that I was brave enough to let go. I'm so glad that I was willing to be vulnerable in order to have the things that I want in life. So the other thing that can come up for you is, let's say one of the questions, I'm laughing because it's like, it's the question that doesn't need to be answered. One of the questions that comes up with clients sometimes is, how do I know when I need to let go of something? You don't need me to answer that. You know when you need to let go of something. You know when you need to let go of a story or a belief or a habit or a job or whatever it is. Like, I don't need to answer that for you. Just trust your gut. Trust yourself. You will know. There's always been a moment where it's kind of like you can feel it brewing. You're like, oh man, I'm feeling that nudge. And honestly, like, it's annoying. You feel it. You can feel when things are coming to a surface. You can feel when things are coming to an end. You can feel when the universe is like nudging you and pushing you of like, hey, it's time to go. It's time to let this go. It's time to move on. It's time to go to a new city. It's time to try a new job. It's time to try a new relationship. And you're like, oh God, I hear you. But like, really? Again? I have to do this again? And it's like, yes. And you will do it a million more times in your life if you want to continue to grow. If you don't, that's totally fine. Then no, you don't have to do it. But so you can feel it. And I feel like it gets to the point where, and I don't know, I thought this happened for everybody, but I was talking to my brother and he was like, that's never happened to me, but I want that to happen. And I was like, well, maybe it will happen. It just hasn't happened yet. You feel that brewing, you feel that nudge, you're like scurrying, and we all do this. You're over analyzing and you're trying to figure out a way that, like, there's got to be a better way where I don't have to let go. There's got to be a less painful way. There's got to be an easier route that doesn't require me to be vulnerable, for me to be in pain, for me to feel any kind of discomfort. There's got to be a better way. And we'll spend time, like sometimes it's weeks, months, years, like scurrying around like, no, I'm going to find a better way. There's a better way. There's got to be a better way. And then eventually you realize, you're like, there's only one way out of this. There is no better way. And so you feel that brewing, you feel that nudge, and then you just know. There's just a moment. I have had it in every job that I had. I have had it in every relationship that I felt was coming to an end. I've had it with friendships. There's just the moment where you're like, it's time. This is done. I can't put this off any longer. Like, I knew it, I was fighting it and I didn't want to accept it, but like, it's done. And it's kind of interesting because when that's happened, obviously like this, it's been a while, but like when that has happened in jobs, it's been brewing for me for months. When I'm finally at the point that like I'm ready to let go, I'll go in and I'm like, hey, I'm done. I mean, if you need 2 weeks, it's cool. Like, I'll give you 2 weeks or whatever. And they're like, oh, what do you mean? Like, what was this something I did? And I'm like, oh, no. Like, this has been going on for a long time. Like, it's been time for me to move. It's not me. Or wait, whoops, I messed that up. It's not you, it's me. You did nothing wrong. I'm totally kidding, by the way. No, but like all that to say, you know when you know. You know when it's time, and when it's time, there is no beating around the bush. Like, you just you just let out that big sigh and you think about this podcast and you're like, man, hey there, anxiety. Hey there, fear. Hey there, panic attack, and every other terrifying thought that I could possibly have. We're going to do this. And I don't have a clue of what I'm going to do once I do this, but like, I can't ignore it anymore. That is when you know that it's time. Your subconscious will tell you too. I think a lot of people ignore things their subconscious does in trying to give them answers. Your subconscious will show up either through songs that are trying to relay a message to you, other people who are trying to tell you what you refuse to hear. It'll show up in your dreams. It'll show up in a book. Maybe it's a social media post. But as the saying goes, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So the answers are all around you on what to do. It's just a matter of like when you are really ready that you're going to see it. So, okay. Couple things and we're going to wrap this up. The question becomes, because I always like action and like, especially with clients, I want you to walk away from this feeling like you have actual tools of like, okay, so how do I actually let go? Like, I like the idea of this and I like the concept of this, but like, how do I actually do that? Well, number one, the best thing you can do is be willing to let go. So our brains are very smart and anything that feels scary or painful, it will try to protect us from that. So if you immediately try and like cut something off or quit or whatever, and like it's very unmethodical, kind of unthought out, your brain is going to signal all kinds of scary thoughts and terrifying things. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, this is a terrible idea. So if you want to kind of ease into it, first, open your mind up and be willing to let go of something. It's not saying you actually are yet, but it's opening yourself up to, I am willing to let this go. I am willing to let this fear go. I am willing to let this job go. I am willing to let this person go. I am willing to whatever it is, insert whatever it is you're working through. So first, open your mind up to the possibility of even doing that. Because when you do that, your brain kind of sees it as like, okay, this is just like saying that you're willing to do it isn't actually doing it. So it's not as scary. So, okay, we can sit with this. We can be willing to let go of something. Continue to do that for a little bit until the idea of letting go is less scary. Because when you open your brain up to the willingness to let go, your brain will also start to open up to other possibilities in life once you have let go. It starts to play around with the ideas of letting go. Like, well, if I did let go of this job, like, it'd be kind of cool to have another job that's like this. Or like, what else would I do? Like, it's a very baby step process of like, you got in the water. We're just turning the heat up a little bit. We didn't just throw you in boiling water. So sit with that and allow your brain to like, all right, I'm willing to let it go. But also like, what would it look like? What would my life look like if I let this go? Like, and focus on not the scary things. Be disciplined enough in your mindset to focus on what it is you are letting in, which is the things that you desire, the job that you desire, the person you desire, the whole, whatever it is that you're letting in, because then it will fuel your intention and excite you in the process instead of it being so scary. So that's number one, is be willing to let go. Number two, don't try and do it alone. It is so much harder to do it alone. And I don't mean like go gather up like 40 people to help you with this process. I mean, I'm a believer that you have guides, that you have loved ones who have passed on, but who want to help you. I believe that the universe, this entire massive consciousness, is all here to help you live the life that is going to make you the happiest. So don't try and do this alone. Literally, this is almost word for word, like what the process is. The universe and I have a great love affair. We talk all day, every day. Sometimes I'm angry with it and it knows it. And sometimes I'm in love with it and it knows it. Like, we have a really great relationship. You should have the same thing. Well, no, I'm not going to say should. I encourage you to develop the same thing. So, number 2, when you're willing to let it go, ask for help. Ask if you don't believe in the universe, if you don't believe in God, if you don't believe in a greater power, that's fine. Ask a loved one that has passed on to help you. Ask a guide to help you. They will help. I promise you, they will. They'll show up and like you get these weird, crazy signs and you're like, holy shit, this stuff is actually real. Ask it to help you. It's totally in your words. It is whatever feels right to you. But like for me, the process of couldn't talk for a second there. The process of how this works is if I'm in a struggle and I have great fear and anxiety wrapped around letting go in order to let in, I will literally say this 500 times a day in multiple ways of like, universe, help me let go. I am trying so hard to let go and surrender, but I'm scared. Help me see things from a new perspective. Please help open up my mind to greater possibilities so that I can move forward in my life. Give me the courage. Give me the strength. I'm terrified. I don't know what to do. I need a little reassurance here. Help me out. Like, please show me the right path. I'm trusting you. I will say this all day long because repetition, the more I say it, the more it fosters my own trust. But it also continues to connect you to something greater than you that really is guiding you. I mean, what do you think is pushing you to let go anyways? Your soul, the universe. So you are being guided. It's just trusting the guidance. So that's number 2 is don't try to do it alone. I have a grandmother and a grandfather that have passed. And sometimes when I'm in meditation, I'm like, Grandma, I need your help here. This is where I'm struggling. I know that you can see much greater things than I can see. So like, give me a sign, show me what to do. Give me the courage, give me the strength. I've got my grandfather. I call him Papa. I'm like, Papa, I'm totally lost and I'm scared to death. I have such bad anxiety. Help me out here. I mean, you have so many energies around you to support you and help you. So let them help you in this process. And then sometimes the way the universe works is it shows up and gives you strength and support through other people. Or maybe it just the right song shows up at the right time to be like, hey, you've got this. Like, it's okay. Move in the right direction. So that's number 2. Number 1, be willing and open your mind up to the possibility of letting go. Number 2, ask for help. Number 3, shift your focus from looking at everything you are losing or letting go of to everything that you are gaining and that you are letting in. So if you're letting go of a job and you're having a hard time with it, do not sit there and dwell on losing your coworkers, losing the like daily camaraderie, losing the familiarity, losing being the person who knows everything and in a position of authority, do not focus on all of that. Just say, all right, I am willing to let this job go. Universe, I freaking need some serious help right now. Like, I don't know how to let go, but I'm willing to let go. So please help me let go. Then now let me think about all the possibilities that exist, all the jobs I could get, like my dream job, how much more fun it'll be, how much more fulfilled I'll be. I could actually be excited to do the work that I'm going to do. Shift your focus to everything that you are gaining. That will pull you forward and move you forward and start to attract everything that you want and everything that is in alignment with that. So those are the 3 things that I would say is be willing to let go, ask for help and be open to receiving help. And then number 3, focusing everything on the exciting new life that you're creating, because going back to all this, like what you want does exist. Everything you want in life, you do not have to go force it. You do not have to go chase it or searching for it. All you have to do is let go of everything that is not that and let it all come in. So I wanted to talk about this today because of the full moon and because the universe was like, oh, can you please talk about this? So maybe you're working through some things that you need to let go of and trying to figure out how. Maybe you're already getting that like brewing feeling like it is time to let go and you're terrified. Well, that's okay because you know what? I'm terrified too. Yeah, vulnerability is really uncomfortable, but I am proud of you for being vulnerable or being willing to be vulnerable because it means you're strong enough in order to move in the direction and do what you need to do to have the life that you want. So be proud of yourself. And last point I'll touch on, if you do muster up the courage to let go of something and be vulnerable enough to allow in what you want and you get hurt or rejected or made fun of or made to feel crazy or alone or whatever, you are strong enough and brave enough to try again. Do not let that create the fear of you never trying again because it hurt. Let that be the opportunity for you to continue to keep trying because you will eventually succeed and get what you want in this life. All right. Oh, wrapping that up. Okay. On that note, everybody who screenshot last week's podcast and shared it on Instagram, thank you so much. That means a lot to me. If you love this, go ahead and screenshot it and share it again and tag me on Instagram because I seriously, like every time I see it, I just like smile because I'm like, oh yeah, people liked it. It helped them. It makes me happy knowing that it helps you. I mean, that's why I do this. Also, if you have not subscribed, be sure to subscribe. I told you I will be knocking out these episodes every single week, so I will be doing that. Next week, I believe we will be talking about intermittent fasting, fasted cardio, and calorie deficits and shedding a little bit of light on the best way for you to boost fat loss. Unless the universe decides that that's not what we're going to talk about. I don't know, but I do have that queued up for next week. So make sure you are subscribed. Last but not least, I do occasionally get in like these deep philosophical like places in my mind and write out these emails telling you all about my thoughts. But I send those out to everybody that is on the newsletter. So if you want to get those emails and you want to be part of that newsletter, just go to AshleyGermans.com. Somewhere on the bottom, it says, do you want to join my newsletter? That's all you got to do. All right. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for listening to this. Go talk to the universe and all your guides and ask them to help you let go of whatever it is. And then be brave enough to go have everything that you want in life. I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.